everyone, welcome back to Daisy Styles. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I did this bay repaint using acrylics and pastels. I'm also going to be showing you how I did the neck resculpt. The materials you'll need for this tutorial will be So this is my base model. She is the 2013 Hanoverian mare, and I'm going to use a small saw to cut off first her head and then her neck, which sounds really gruesome, but that's just what you gotta do. When I had done that, I kind of shaved down the edges of the base of the neck and also drilled a hole in it, and just the same with the head. Then I connected the two parts with wire and glued them in place and kind of propped her head up in a position that I liked. Now I'm going to be using Das Pronto air dry clay to kind of flesh out the neck. Now I honestly wouldn't recommend using air dry clay because it really isn't strong enough for this stuff, but it's the only thing I had. If you do have Apoxie sculpt or if you are able to buy it, I would really recommend that. So now I have just very roughly fleshed out her neck just to have kind of a base to work off of. Before I proceed, I'm going to be using a little bit of super glue by the head and by the base of the neck just to make sure nothing shifts around. So now I'm going to be moving on to some more detailed sculpting, so I'm going to be using these silicone tools. My tip for the more detailed sculpting is to use a lot of water just to smooth out all the transitions and stuff. Here I am using the end of a paintbrush to add some muscles and details to the neck. A toothbrush can also be used to add some texture to semi-hardened clay. Here I'm using a pointy silicone tool to add some wrinkles and kind of muscle details to the neck. I also decided to sculpt a little bit around her nostrils to kind of make it look like they're kind of flared and excited. And then when all the sculpting is done, it's time to sand those transitions smooth. And this is what she looks like after she has been sanded. I also sculpted a short sporty mane with the help of my silicone tools. I've found that short downward strokes with a silicone tool effectively makes a realistic mane. Here's just one of the many drawbacks of using air dry clay. Compared to other sculpting mediums, air dry clay leaves a very rough texture on the mane, which is annoying, but I just have to deal with it. Now it's time to prime the horse. Now I don't have an official primer, I just use white paint, but in my experience it has worked just fine. Now that she is completely white, I'm going to be painting her with a very light brown color. You want this brown color to be the lightest color you want on the horse in the end, because when you're using pastels, you can't lighten, you can only darken. And here I realized, shoot, the base color is way too dark, so I painted it with a lighter brown color. And then when that had completely dried, I sprayed her with Liquitex matte varnish. And here I was going to set a box over top so dust wouldn't settle on her, and she tumbled over and her nostrils just got ruined, and oh my gosh, I was so annoyed. So I fixed her nostril and I also strengthened it with some super glue, but this is a prime example of why you don't use paper clay like me. So now I'm going to be starting on the shading, and I'm using burnt umber and burnt ochre, and this is the first coat. As you can see, I've left some of the parts lighter, and that's exactly why I painted the base coat a lot lighter, so I can have more variation in the coat. Here we have probably like the 5th example why you shouldn't use paper clay. You can see there are some cracking, and it just sucks because when you use so much time and effort on a thing and you just see it crumbling apart, it really sucks. So this was the second coat. As you can see, I'm still leaving some of the lighter spots, and I'm also spraying the horse in between each pastel layer. Now I'm going to start to use the black pastels for the legs and some details in the face. After the 6th coat of pastel, I started painting her mane and tail a very dark brown color. I used a tiny brush to add the eye white, iris, and pupil. Using the same small brush, I gave her some socks on her legs and a big blaze. Using silver metallic paint, I'm going to paint on her horseshoes and some small nails poking out of her hoof wall. Some gloss varnish will add a spark of life to her eyes and nostrils. I also added some varnish to the hooves to make them as waterproof as possible. And it's finished! I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful and understandable. Also, don't forget to leave a like if you liked it, and leave a dislike if you did not like it. Comment down below name suggestions for this gal. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!